The story continues with the hatred and darkness that was budding inside Sayaka finally taking over her. Sayaka's soul gem now turns into a dark and ominous grief seed just like the witch's. Even Kyoko, who was present there, is blasted away by the energy released by the conversion of the soul gem to the grief seed. Kyoko manages to save herself and latches onto a nearby pole as Sayaka transforms into a huge witch. Her original human body starts falling lifeless onto the floor, and Kyoko quickly rushes to get her. As Kyoko tries to bring Sayaka back into consciousness, the witch creates a labyrinth around them. The witch is powerful, considering the fact that she had just been created, and starts attacking Kyoko. Fortunately for them, Akemi arrives at their rescue. With her powers that can literally pause time, she manages to help the two girls escape. Even outside the labyrinth, Sayaka's body is still lifeless. Madoka arrives searching for Sayaka and finds Kyoko and Akemi looking over a lifeless body. Akemi explains that this was the ultimate fate of all girls who took power from Kyubey. All magical girls will eventually die and become witches. Madoka becomes hysterical and starts sobbing over her friend's death, but Akemi assures her that this is what she had chosen for herself. Before leaving, she tells Kyoko and Madoka to dispose of the body somewhere so that they don't get in trouble. That night, after disposing of Sayaka's body, Madoka is in her room, unable to comprehend how her life had changed in the last few days. Just then, Kyubey arrives at her window once again. Despite her wanting nothing to do with the magical cat, it invites itself into her room and starts explaining that what happened was perfectly logical and justified. The cat explains that it was from an alien race called the Incubators. For centuries, this race had actually scoured the universe to find a source of energy that didn't follow the laws of thermodynamics. In simple terms, all forms of energy suffer some form of loss during their conversion, all except the energy created when the magical girls were converted into witches. The human race, whose emotions were so raw and pure, was used to create magical girls, and that was converted into energy, which the cats were tasked to collect when they turned into witches. In other words, humans were energy-making machines for the incubator race. Kyubey explains that they were just like cattle and sheep, but treated in a much more humane way by the Astral cat race. Madoka is unable to accept this and tells the cat to leave. As he does so, Kyubey once again tells her that she would be the most powerful witch, and also the most chaotic witch, creating massive forms of energy. He tells her that if she ever wanted to contribute to the energy sources of the universe, she should give him a call. Kyoko is also distraught at the death of Sayaka and feels that she needs to do something to bring her back. She asks Kyubey if there was any way to bring back Sayaka's soul gem from Sayaka's witch form. Kyubey tells her that he doesn't know any process that would be of help for that. However, Kyoko is not going to sit idle. The very next day, she immediately calls Madoka to help her find a way to save Sayaka. She believes that, perhaps like in the cringiest Hollywood movies, if the witch hears her friend's voice, her soul can be saved. Madoka agrees to help, despite the plan being unlikely to work. The two girls then head to the location of the witch, which Kyoko tracks with her soul gem. As they head to the location, Madoka asks how Kyoko knew Akemi, and Kyoko reveals that she hired her so that she could help Akemi with the witch Walpurgisnacht, which was about to come to the city in a few days. The witch was so powerful that she could destroy the entire city, and therefore Akemi asked for her help. The two girls then finally find the labyrinth of the witch that was Sayaka. As soon as they enter, Madoka starts calling her friend to come back to her senses, but instead, the witch starts attacking her instead. Kyoko protects Madoka to the best of her abilities, but nothing that they do seems to be enough to bring Sayaka back to her human form. She was truly lost. The witch that had taken her place starts overwhelming Kyoko with its attacks. Just then, Akemi arrives to their help. Madoka has already passed out after being struck by the witch, and she quickly goes to help her out. Kyoko, who feels guilty for somehow leading Sayaka into her current state, decides that Sayaka doesn't have to be alone. She decides to end both of their lives at once and destroys both the witch and her own soul gem in the same process. In a dystopian land of endless crucifixes, Akemi meets with Kyubey, who tells her that there is no choice left but for Madoka to turn into a magical girl now, as Akemi cannot deal with Walpurgisnacht on her own. Akemi, however, is still adamant that she would never let Madoka get the powers. she would do whatever she can to make sure Madoka lives the way she is. We are then taken back to the actual reality of Akemi, where she is nothing like the Akemi we know of. The real Akemi is a nerd. Akemi had suffered from a heart disease and missed most of her class, which is why she came to Madoka's school as a transfer student. There, she had met Madoka for the first time. Even though she was timid and shy, Madoka had made friends with her. However, since she was sick and also missed most of the year being sick, Akemi was neither good at sports, nor was she good at studies. This made her feel so sad, and she had started to get filled with evil thoughts, much like the ones that witches cause. One day, she walks right into a witch's labyrinth and is about to do the unthinkable when she is saved by some magical girls. They are none other than Madoka and Mami. In this reality, Madoka had already taken the power of a magical girl. While she wasn't so special and didn't have a large power as described by Kyubey earlier, she was still a magical girl. Mami and Madoka explained to Akemi that they were magical girls and all about the magic and witches in the universe. Akemi, who really looks up to Madoka, also decides to tag along with them in their adventures. Surely enough, Walpurgisnacht arrives in this universe as well, and during the battle, Mami is instantly killed, while Madoka is the only magical girl remaining. Akemi begs Madoka to save herself, but Madoka tells her that it's the duty of a magical girl to destroy all witches. She smiles at Akemi and tells her that she enjoyed her company and will always be her friend, and rushes to battle. Ultimately, Madoka is killed as well. Walpurgisnacht is just too powerful. Distraught at the death of her only friend, Akemi does the one thing that makes sense to her. She makes a contract with the Kyubey. For her wish, she asks to redo her meeting with Madoka, but this time she wants to have great powers with which she can save Madoka instead of her saving Akemi. Kyubey accepts the contract. Akemi wakes up once again in the hospital bed, her soul gem in her hands. She immediately rushes to Madoka, who, as always, had already taken the powers as well. Due to the nature of her wish, Akemi ends up getting time-altering powers. However, it isn't very easy to control. It takes Akemi some time to get used to and learn her powers. Once again, Walpurgisnacht arrives in the city, and this time they do manage to defeat it. But in the process, Madoka gives in to her emotions and is converted into a witch. Akemi watches in horror as her friend turns into a witch, the same being that they battled for protecting the universe. This is when she realizes that Kyubey had been betraying them and using them as energy sources. So she time leaps once more back to the same day in the hospital and immediately tells the truth to her friends. But no one believes her, as they don't want to distrust Kyubey, who gave them such incredible powers and a wish that no one else could. In this universe, Sayaka is also a magical girl who suffers a similar fate to the main universe and turns into a witch, making all the girls realize their mistake. Kyubey was actually mistreating them. Madoka is distraught after learning that her greatest strength was actually a curse, and Akemi promises her that they have to move on no matter what and live with it. When the battle with Walpurgisnacht arrives, this time both of them fail and fall to the ground. Their soul gems start darkening. Madoka, however, has one grief seed that she can use to purify her soul gem, but instead of using it herself, she gives it to Akemi and tells her to use her powers and go back to the past and prevent Madoka from falling into Kyubey's trap. With tears in her eyes, Akemi accepts and once more comes back to the same day in the hospital. Countless more tries and countless more deaths of Madoka occur. After witnessing her only friend die so many times, Akemi has not become how she is now. In one of the timelines, she had even managed to almost save Madoka, but at the last moment, she had taken the powers and converted into a witch. So powerful that she could destroy the world in 10 days. Kyubey collects the energy during her conversion and leaves mankind for dead. Kyubey has also come to realize why Madoka is so powerful a witch, since Akemi had tried to save her so many times and leaps into different timelines. All of these timelines were linked to one another by only one Madoka, making her the most powerful being ever. Unintentionally, Akemi had made her friend the most capable magical girl. In the real world, Sayaka's body is found, and everyone is distraught by her death, especially Madoka, who cannot seem to focus on her own life at the moment. She goes to meet with Akemi, where Akemi tells her that she had tried to save her so many times. Akemi ties her in an embrace and explains how much Madoka's life meant to her and pleads once more that she does not take the powers. Madoka agrees, but she isn't sure how Akemi would be able to defeat Walpurgisnacht alone. Akemi assures Madoka that she will be fine if Madoka promises not to take the powers. Soon enough, Walpurgisnacht arrives and Akemi goes to battle it. However, the witch is simply too powerful for her to handle, and she is immediately defeated. She isn't even sure that resetting time again would make life better for Madoka. She accepts defeat and perhaps gives up. Just then, Madoka shows up and explains that she would take the powers. She explains to Akemi that it is the only way that they can save the hundreds and thousands of lives that would be taken away otherwise. Despite Akemi's protests, Madoka accepts the contract from Kyubey, and for her wish, she asks Kyubey to give her the ability to save magical girls across all time from their despair before they can become witches. Since Madoka is extremely powerful, the wish makes it so that the whole laws of the universe are changed. She transcends into a different life form, somewhat like a god. Due to the wish, magical girls are purified and disappear into a higher plane instead of becoming witches. The result of the wish causes Madoka's human existence to become erased from reality, with only Akemi remembering her. Akemi is distraught and believes that Madoka is worse than dead now, but Madoka assures her that she was fine. She was not dead, rather, she was everywhere at all times and in everything at all times. A fancy way of saying that she was a god. Madoka assures Akemi that this is for the best and thanks her, now knowing the full extent of their friendship across numerous timelines. After a while, Akemi awakens in a universe where witches no longer exist, and there is no one that remembers the girl named Madoka. Instead of witches, the magical girls fight beings called wraiths who cause similar effects to the witches. When the magical girls finally succumb to despair, they disappear and finally meet with Madoka in the next world. Madoka had created heaven. Damn! On a rooftop, Akemi sits alongside Kyubey, who also has no idea about a world of witches or Madoka's sacrifice for their world. She describes the previous reality to Kyubey and vows to continue protecting the world Madoka cherished. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching!